Ding, ding, ding. Good morning, everybody. Here we are once again. It's been a couple weeks, and this is the Overflow podcast. We're back in action after our little winter break.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, the whole deal.
The
It's
whole
weird.
deal.
Yeah, the last time that we chatted was just before Christmas with this podcast. That was episode 48.
And that was all the way last year.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are today, episode 49, and we are still overflowing from our Sunday sermon.
Yeah, that was a little Freudian slip. You're waiting for summer.
I am waiting so hard. Exactly. We actually, just before this podcast, Jeff and I were chatting, and I said, man, this past Sunday, it was like dark, early in the morning.
Yeah. And it's still kind of dark.
It's dark today. Yeah. Right, exactly. So, we did start a new sermon series, actually.
Yeah, Kingdom Picks.
Mm-hmm. Kingdom Picks, that's the name of our new sermon series. And what are we focusing on?
Pictures of the kingdom. Jesus often uses the language, the kingdom of heaven is like, and then he launches into a parable. So we're going to look at different parables that Jesus uses to paint a picture of what the kingdom of heaven is like. In Mark 1, he says, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Yeah. That means it's close by. It's accessible. It can be experienced. But yet, Paul talks about the fact that, hey, I only see in part what later I will see in full. So there's this we can already begin to experience the kingdom, but not yet fully.
Yes.
So we have no idea what the kingdom really looks like. We get little glimpses, and Jesus tries to paint a picture of what some attributes or what some kingdom activity looks like.
Yeah. Wow, that's so pertinent. We actually, just before this podcast, we had a meeting, and one of the individuals was discussing, is heaven going to be like this? Is heaven going to be like that? And we can speculate and have all these NDEs, right? What near-death experiences and all the people coming back and whatever. But ultimately, I said it actually, what no ear has heard, what no eye has seen, it's going to be like that. And it's far better than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, I heard one person once say that we have no idea what life is like without the effects of sin.
Right.
Like there's so much of our world, everything is so affected by sin, we don't even realize it. And then once that weight is truly, truly lifted and we're truly separated from it, it's going to be something we can't even possibly comprehend.
Yeah, it'll be holy, which is other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be
crazy,
it's unexplainable. But Jesus says, "All right, let me try to explain. When you see these little things, these little glimpses, that's the kingdom of heaven."
Exactly. And we were also already, again, before this podcast, kind of chatting about rhetoric. And the thing is, like, God is trying to explain to us supernatural things, heavenly things, kingdom things that are just beyond our understanding in a way that we could possibly understand. And he's using stuff like seeds or like blah blah blah, a pearl or
silos or bigger barns or master of a house or all these different things that we can go, oh yeah, I kind of understand
like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got that.
Yeah. So it's all tricky stuff, and well, if you guys don't catch or understand what the parable is the first time you read it, they didn't either. That's right. They had no clue half the time, and they're like, "Wait, is this for us, Jesus? Are you telling? How can you explain? Can you tell us about this thing?"
Well, what'd you say?
Right, and so they
did
didn't
you
understand.
mean what I think you meant?
Right. Yeah, and that happened Jesus's entire life, basically.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because how do you explain stuff like that? You say, well, it's kind of like a wedding feast. It's kind of like.
Well, yeah. When I was in Bible college, we were talking about prophecy, and one of the professors said, try to go back to, Christ's day and describe to them an airplane.
Right. Huh. Right.
What are you talking about? A tube? What's a tube? What's metal tube? Where do you even start?
Right. Yeah. So. Not even with galvanized steel. But that's the whole thing, right?
Well, you take aircraft aluminum. Yeah. What's an aircraft? Oh.
Right. It was like a wheel within a wheel covered in eyeballs. It's like that's kind of how those things come about. So yeah. But I really liked what you did when you were setting the stage this past Sunday. If we can just dive right into your sermon, you set the stage by saying, look, today we're going to be focusing in on Luke 12. And it's really, we were on Luke 12, verse 34 and onward. And you set the stage by saying, this is where we started with Luke 12. And I liked those areas because it's really Jesus is saying to these people, look, like, don't fear those who can kill the body, but rather fear the one who is able to kill your soul, basically,
Right.
and toss you into hell, or things like that. And so it really puts an interesting perspective on having a kingdom mindset throughout your day-to-day life, so that you're not, like we've said so many times in this podcast, tossed to and fro by the circumstances that are temporal around you, the temporary things around you, or the people that are around you.
Right.
Are you going to be more afraid of the people who can just kill your body, right? Or are you going to be afraid of, or rather in reverence and honoring the one who gives you the breath that you have?
Yeah, I think he sets up the section we were at by really highlighting those two areas. Are you afraid of man, or are you afraid of God? What is driving you more? What people think of you, or what God thinks of you, and how you should operate? So there's that. That's what causes hypocrisy, right?
Yep.
Hypocrisy is I'm trying to be something that I think you want me to be, but it's not really who I am, but I'm going to do it to earn your favor, whatever. And we can be hypocritical with God too, right? We can say, all right, I'm just going to do some things that I think will earn God's favor, whether I mean it or not.
Right. He knows
Right.
the heart.
And then the other part of it was greed. He tells a quick parable about the guy that has an incredible harvest, doesn't have a barn big enough to hold it all. So he says, I know what I'll do. I'll build bigger barns.
Yeah.
And so are you going to use the kingdom resource God has given you for personal gain or for kingdom gain? And so are you going to be self-indulgent and greedy, or are you going to be generous, right? And then he launches into this section where he talks about a master and leaving his house and being dressed and being ready while the master's away at a wedding feast.
Yeah.
Right. And then he comes back. Does he find you, sleeping and asleep at the wheel kind of a thing? Or the master that goes away and trusts all his possessions to his servant? Does the servant go, well, the master's away, let's party. And they
Right.
use all that possession to get drunk and to party and to have fun and to abuse people and whatnot. Or do you use it for kingdom gain?
Right.
And he wraps it all up with, I think, a very, very challenging statement, particularly to us here in the U.S. To whom much is given, much will be required. To whom much is given, much will be expected. And this phrase, this idea that if you've been entrusted with kingdom resources, God expects you to use it a certain way for kingdom advancement, not for self-indulgence, not for hoarding, not for abusing people, not for all the things that we can go wrong, but
Yeah,
for his purpose.
you actually gave a bit of a warning to those that came to this service on Sunday, very appropriately. Like, you guys now know. You're like, that's part of the responsibility, right? And so, yikes! The ones that are going to be teachers and the ones that are then taught by the teachers, there's a little more responsibility. It's that Spider-Man adage, right? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I think one of the phrases I used there was knowledge brings accountability.
Yeah.
Now I know. If I didn't know all this stuff, and he even says this in our text when we were talking about this, he says, if the person that doesn't know, the servant who knew his master's will in verse 47, but did not get ready or act according to his will receive a severe beating.
Yep.
But then he follows it up with the one that did not know,
Right.
but still did what deserved a beating. He's going to get a beating, but not like the one that knew.
It'll be a light beating.
Right.
That's what it says. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm up for a light beating. I really don't want any beating, but there's the sense that now that you know what the master wants, now that you know how he asks you to operate, now that you know, the stakes have been raised because you can't claim ignorance anymore.
Exactly. And that's why the command is there at the very beginning of that particular section, Luke 12:35. It's, you must be ready. Stay dressed for action.
Right.
And so then if you know, right, the same person who's, they're about to be in a battle and, well, you better have your armor on.
Right.
That's the whole point right here. Stay ready, stay prepared, stay dressed for action. And guess what? We are in a battle.
Yeah, there's a battle for our souls and there's a battle for this planet, this world, right?
Yeah.
And so Are we dressed for it? Do we wear our clothes of salvation? Are we clothed in his grace? Are we clothed in what he wants us to look like, act like? Do we call him Lord, Lord, and actually do what he tells us to do? Or do we call him Lord, Lord, and don't do what he tells us to do?
Right.
Well, it might be easy for me to go, well, Lord, I didn't know you wanted me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He says, he'll say, according to this, he'll say, yeah, it was still wrong though.
Right.
But for me to go, well, I knew it, but I didn't think you were serious about that.
That's very different.
That's a vastly different conversation.
Right. Yep. It's not obedience. It's disobedience.
It's flat out disobedience. All the disrespectful, disobedience, all of that.
Very true. And so I really love how these parables, because we're going to be in this for a number of weeks now, all the way until Easter. They're very multifaceted, and you can take them the way that we just did as well, and you can expand on all of these ideas and say, okay, yeah, disrespect. Okay, so if I'm a servant, it says, blessed are those servants, and that's us. We're talking about where we are the sheep. We're not the one who's the shepherd, right? We are the servants. We're not the master of the house. And to be a good servant is to be respectful of the boss. That's just how it is, the master. To be a good servant is to obey the master. To be a good servant is to be just to work hard, to do all the things, to be dressed and appropriate, and to be ready for action. If your job as a servant is to keep your lamp burning, you better make sure you have oil in your lamp.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of other parables that go along. I think we're going to, later in this series, hit the 10 virgins that are, and then 5 of them don't bring enough oil, and then they miss the whole deal.
Yeah.
There's other parables about masters that go away and the leave talents for the servants, and the servants are supposed to invest those talents, right? And some do and some don't. And all through that, what comes, the theme that comes through is, listen, you've got to know your master's heart. And if you know your master's heart, you should pattern your life after your master's heart.
Right.
And if that's the case, if you're doing that, then he truly is your master. Now, he's not requiring perfection. He's requiring a heart attitude, a heart posture. Like, I want my heart to match your heart. I want my view to match your view. I'll screw up along the way. I won't execute it as well. But if my heart postures, that's what my motivation is, then he's going to be far more gracious.
Yeah, that's a good place to be for sure. I liked how you also said on Sunday how it's funny. Some people come to you and they're like, well, I really like the God of the New Testament, but not so much the God of the Old Testament. And then, well, honestly, it's the same God and he hasn't changed. And the thing is, in these parables, Jesus is pretty clear, like, hey, there are sheep and there are goats, and it's not all about just love and grace alone. It's like, yeah, if you weren't ready, well, you're like what you just mentioned slightly about the women that had to keep their oils, the oil for the lamps and burning. When that master came back, they weren't allowed into the feast after that. It's still the same God, same guy that's like, no, I'm still holding the line here.
Well, and he talks about beating people in this one, and he talks about like cutting them up into pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that people look at Jesus, and the joke is always that he's, dressed in this white robe with this satin blue sash, and he just is all love, and he is. God is love for sure. But there's a side of this where he takes this thing seriously.
Yeah.
It's, hey, I put everything on the line. I left heaven.
Right.
I then endured death, physical death, and I endured spiritual separation from the Father for you. This isn't a game. This isn't just let's do what's convenient. Let's live out our lives the way God is asking us to do, and how he intended us and how he created. Not because he wants to be this ogre that's over us, but because this is how we've been designed to experience life, and life to the full.
Right. Right, exactly. So are we living out this life in expectancy, and are we utilizing the resources that the kingdom has provided for us, because ultimately it also says in the Bible, what you have been given is all from him alone. Right? That's how it works. And so then are you then putting that to work and being a good steward of the things that have been given to you?
Yeah, I love what our overseer Gary Belleville did with giving. He gave a little talk on how we give at the well, and he referenced that very thing, that everything that we've been given, even when we tithe back, right? Even when we bring our gifts back to the church and we say, all right, we're tithing this to the Lord, he gave us the tithe. We're just, it's not like we earned it and God goes, oh, cool, thanks for the stuff I didn't. No, he literally gave that to us.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like this understanding that everything that we have, everything that we've been given, has been given by him. It doesn't matter. You say, well, I went to work and I earned it. That was my paycheck. Well, he gave you the job.
Yeah, exactly.
He gave you the talent to do the job.
Yeah.
Right? You're over the music ministry here at the well. You are far more musically inclined than I am. He gave you that talent.
Yep.
Right? So that's what enables you to have this job, which enables you to have a paycheck, which enables you, right?
Yeah.
He gave it all to you.
He gave you the waking up of the morning.
Right.
Otherwise, you're dead. That's it.
Right.
He gave you the breath. You woke up. He's given you your eyesight. You can see how to drive to get to work.
Right.
I mean, you're not getting to work without his help.
Right.
You're not breathing without his help.
Right.
Right. So
he's the author and sustainer of life.
Yeah,
and
sustainer.
So
yeah.
everything, he's given us everything.
Right.
And so what he's saying is just deploy it intentionally.
Yeah.
Deploy what you have intentionally.
Yep. And so then bringing this full circle back to fearing God or fearing man, there's also, in the sense of fearing man, that culture is very involved in that. Are you going to fear or bow down to what culture says to do? What is the norm of the time? Perhaps the guy, the rich fool is what he's actually called, by the way. Mm-hmm. So he's a rich fool. He's not smart. This is a fool. He says, well, I've done really well with my crop of land, and I'm going to do what culture says is the right thing to do. I'm going to build a bigger silo and store all my crop in the silo, right? And we do the same thing. Culture says, well, you better have a nest egg. You better do this to be able to afford a home, or you better keep your things this way, or have this amount of clothes, or change your skin to do this thing, or look this way, or whatever culture says. Are you going to bow down and say that that's what I think is most important? Or are you going to say, okay, what is most important to God is to have the glory of whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. There's all these other very different things.
Yeah. One of the first things we talked about was, do we really trust the king? Right. And here, it tells us that in the first little parable that he does, he says, look, the master will come. And if he finds everybody ready to go, know this, he's going to put on the clothes and he's going to serve. He's going to serve the servants. And here's the master, right? And we know in this parable, the master is Christ, right? So here's the king. And what does he do? Our king doesn't just look to be served. He serves.
Yeah.
And he says, look, I have kingdom resources that you can't even imagine. After all, I spoke into existence everything that is. So think about the most amount of money you can think of. You think that's a big deal to me. It's really not, right? So I have all of this at my disposal. I'm gonna set it aside, and I'm gonna use it to serve people.
Right.
That's what our king does. I'm gonna set it aside. Philippians tells us this, right? Counting equality with God something not to be grasped, but gave up everything.
Right.
Right. He set some things aside that he had at his disposal. Why? To serve us. So if that's our master's heart, if that's our king's heart, perhaps we need to emulate that by saying, hey, here's the resources that I've been giving, that I have at my disposal. How can I use it to serve others?
Exactly. Yes. Are you going to be the way that the kingdom of heaven is brought to hand, or are you going to be the way that the kingdom of the world is brought to hand? Exactly. So
and that's the kingdom picture, right? The kingdom picture is kingdom resources being used for kingdom advancement.
Absolutely. So now the warning goes out to all of you guys who are listening. Unfortunately, now you know.
Now you
Right?
know.
And so, like we said, knowledge is bringing accountability. So if you're not doing what I told you to do, the Lord says, then don't call me Lord. Don't call
Right.
me your master if you're not obeying what I'm doing. And then the blessing brings responsibility. So
Right.
you've got accountability and you've got a responsibility. And then you brought in this interesting phrase, which was mind the gap. So the mind was like, oh, I have a new state of awareness about something. That's your knowledge that's bringing the accountability. And then the gap is that we're minding, that we're aware of, is a great divergence or a difference in between two different things. And so what you kind of brought this all to a culmination to is to say, like, look, us as Americans, we've not built silos on, we have, by the way, but silos on the side of our houses. They're called garages, but we've also built our own houses to be quite bigger than they've ever been in history. We have our own castles. If you want to say, oh, mansions in heaven, we have somewhat mansions right now that we're living in comparison to those in other cultures or countries, especially second, third, fourth, et cetera, world countries. And so we've become aware, you've become aware specifically through your sabbatical time when you
Right.
visited them, that there is a great difference. And the same thing happened to me when I lived in Costa Rica, which is not a third world country, but a second world, and it feels third world, I'll tell you already. So I can't even imagine the third world countries, how much different that is. Returning back to the United States and saying, oh my gosh, there's clutter everywhere. There's so many things. We have so many items. We've got anything we want at any time. Turn on the thing, you got hot water every single day of the month. That's not a thing in Costa Rica, which is only a second world country. That's never a thing in the third or fourth world countries. They don't have the hot water when you turn it on, you know? And so things are so different, and this really impacted you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a year ago. We were planning to go and trying to figure out what to do, and we ended up going to Tanzania and South Sudan, and then on the way home, stopping in Europe to see a couple European countries. And what shocked me, now my parents are missionaries, so I've been to a lot of different cultures, but it hit me differently this time. So I truly think God was speaking very directly to me, directly to my wife, that, hey, notice something. Just be aware of what this is. And now that you are aware, are you going to just say, yep, that's what it is and go on with life? Or are you going to try to do something about it? Are you going to try to close this gap, if you will?
Yeah.
And so I came back and was really moved, was really processing this. Kathy and I were talking about it. I actually was listening to a podcast, and the speaker, the guy that was the guest on the podcast, was saying some things that was really resonating with me about what it is to be a pastor and lead a church and all that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to pick it up. So pick up his book. So I picked up his book, and on the first page was the phrase "mind the gap." I'm like, criminy, like right, of all the things, and he talks about defined it what it is, and so I just felt this compulsion that, hey, there's something I know now. The knowledge requires accountability, and blessing requires responsibility. And listen, we're sitting doing a podcast being recorded by a camera that's digital, new microphones in a place with electric. I mean, we're blessed. Our socks are blessed off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing some research, and I started doing some exploration, and really was getting convicted of an idea that was in my brain that every time I shared it with people, they said, that's really amazing and it's really weird because it's not cultural. And so I decided to start a company that's a for-profit company that seeks to give 100% of its profits away. And so people are like, well, so that's a nonprofit. I said, no, because we're going to sell products for a profit. We're just going to, instead of giving those profits to our C-suite employees and to our shareholders and all that, we're going to deploy all that money overseas to fight global humanitarian needs. The first of which is clean water, because that's one of the first keys to closing the poverty gap is clean water.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share that on Sunday because all the while that I was doing the phrase from the end of this text was just coming through strongly. To whom much was given, much will be required. And from him to whom much they entrusted, much will be demanded. And I just felt as an American, I have been given much.
Yeah.
I have been entrusted with much. And how can we begin to deploy the world's richest economy in a way that closes the gap for people that don't have that opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
So I shared with it on Sunday because it's going to launch in February. And I wanted the people of the well to hear about it first from me.
Right.
I just want to be clear because I know some people have asked the question, is this a well thing? No, it's a Jeff thing. This is my deal. Now, are people of the well involved? There are some people in the well that have said, hey, I love what you're talking about. I want to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The overseers, they are all aware of it. But there's no well money going to it. There's no well energy going to it. This is my gig.
Yep.
And so it's just a way of how does this idea practically work out in our lives? It could be something as crazy as what this thing is. But our question was, don't just join All True. Don't just join that. But what is God laying on your heart on how to be responsible and accountable for what you've been entrusted with?
Right. Yeah. How can you utilize what God has given you to steward that well, to serve others, to love others?
Right.
Greatest commandment, right? Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, etc., and love others as much as you love yourself.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
So, we're sitting here drinking water,
Right.
right? We have clean drinking water.
Yeah, right from the tap.
And today you said, I don't have any special water.
I did.
Is tap water okay? And I'm like, well, for sure, because we can drink tap water.
Yeah.
There are parts in the world that they don't even have taps
Right.
to drink water from.
Exactly. That's a scary place to be. And you did mention clean drinking water as like the main thing right there, but there's also the education of kids, the economic security, health increase or health concerns, things of that nature. And there might have been one more, I don't recall.
Yeah, there are 5 general keys to that. People like World Relief Canada, WHO, and other places have identified on how do we fight or how do we close the gap of poverty. And it's clean drinking water, educating children, economic opportunity, basic medical care, and improve nutrition. Right? These things are vital. They're Maslow's lowest level of hierarchy of needs. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we picked one to start.
Yeah.
And our goal, honestly, is to create a company that sells products, that each product is attached to a cause, so that we can start attacking those 5 keys. Get government out of the way so that we can reduce the waste and put it into the hands of the local people.
That's
so that
excellent.
They can begin to move forward in the way they experience life.
Yeah, very good. So just out of the corner of my eye, you do have one of their bottles here. I don't know if you want to grab it real quick or not. So just to reiterate as well, this is not something that is like sponsored by the Well or not something that the Well as an organization is doing. This is Jeff being convicted through some travel that he has done and saying, look, this is something that I can do. That's what he's done, which is called All True. So earlier when he mentioned All True, that's the name of the company right there.
Yeah, it's a derivative of altruism, right? Which means to be generous, to look for ways to improve and to help, to be altruistic. And we chose to do these stainless steel thermal insulated water bottles. We've got a line of them coming out, and the cause will be all the profits for this will go to fund global clean drinking water initiatives.
Yeah.
One of which is a group that we at the Well have been supporting. They're Sun International. That's what they do. They bring clean drinking water to the people of Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
Another one we're working with is Malawi. They do a very similar thing in Malawi. And as we grow, we will look for more organizations like that are bringing clean drinking water into communities that don't have access to it.
And that's great. That's utilizing the resources that God has given you and saying, this is something I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So then the reflection of that Sunday sermon, there were some prayer points, but the one that was meant for everyone was like the fourth point or so, was to say, okay, God, what is it that you've put on my heart? What kind of giftings have you given me individually? What am I interested in? What opportunities do I have? Because we each are made differently with different opportunities, different upbringings, different talents, skill sets, etc., to be able to serve somebody else. What can I do that's going to bring the kingdom down? I mean, yeah.
Could be something as simple as joining a group that's already doing something. It could be starting your own thing. It could be as simple as buying a water bottle from Altru instead of one of the other people that sell water bottles. It's just, what ways am I deploying the funds, the resources, the gifts, the talents, the treasures, all of that? What are the ways that I can deploy that for kingdom use?
Yeah, that's great. There's a verse somewhere in scripture where basically it says, like, what good does it really do to pass somebody on the side of the road begging and say, oh, I hope you stay warm and may God bless you? Mm-hmm. You're not really blessing them, right? So this is like a little more of the hands-on practical way of actually blessing and helping some people. Wonderful. Very, very good. So is there anything else that you'd like to say with this? Bless you, by the way. Hey, my God bless you. Right. And otherwise, we'll be, continuing on with our sermon series, Kingdom Picks, with all of our parables coming up next week. It's going to be January the 18th. Is it the 11th? 12th? The 11th. My days are all kind of mixed up. We've been off for too long now. But yeah, so the 11th coming up, and we're going to be talking about, that our kingdom is a growing kingdom.
Yeah, we're going to use the image of seeds that get planted, and you don't know how they grow, but they grow. And so, a lot, again, the kingdom of heaven is like.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So if you want to figure out what the kingdom of heaven is like, please join us this coming Sunday.
And this Sunday is Baptism Sunday. We got a few people getting baptized, so that'll be exciting.
That's right. Yes. So January 11th, 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's at our new location, the Little Red Schoolhouse. Yep. Yeah, we're so thankful for them. They've really come alongside us, and we're working great together. It's been a good relationship. Yep. At the end of this video, there's going to be a QR code. If you guys have any questions in regards to Altru or anything else that we've been talking about or the upcoming sermons, go ahead and click that QR code. Send us some questions. We would love to talk with you guys. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Have a great Sunday. Or yes, we'll have a great Sunday coming up, but enjoy your Tuesday as we're recording.
Have a great weekend.
There we go. See you guys.
Bye.